Man on his way to first day of work gets stopped by cops. Walter never meant to get this emotional, but it was too much to take. All he did was try and get to work on time for his day. He couldn't help feeling that he didn't deserve this. Now his emotions were raging. Before he could stop himself, the tears came. They flowed like a river, all the emotion of everything that happened finally overcoming him. Walter Carr, a resident of Birmingham, Alabama, was barely out of high school. He'd never had an easy life. While his parents did what they could, money was always tight. Walter knew he had to find a way to make things happen for himself. Lacking the benefit of a tertiary education, Walter was disheartened when he first started job hunting. Walter had a willingness to work hard and a desire to prove himself. Unfortunately, every local job vacancy seemed to require further education, previous experience, or both. Walter had none of these. He was beginning to lose hope after every application he sent never yielded anything positive. However, one day Walter suddenly received a call that would change his entire life. One of Walter's friends had come across an opening at a small furniture removal company. After being in touch with the owner, Walter was offered his first job. It was the weekend, and he was expected to start that coming Monday. Walter was ecstatic and could not wait to start his first job. However, when Sunday evening came around, he was left crestfallen again. Walter's manager informed him that they had a job the following day to help a woman move furniture to her new house. Walter was given the address and expected to be there at 8 a.m. sharp. The problem, Walter's car hadn't been starting. He meant to get it fixed after his first paycheck. The job was 20 miles away in Pelham, Alabama. Walter had no way of getting there as no buses ran that early from his neighborhood. Walter Carr was an extraordinary young man. Realizing he either had to make a plan or miss his first day of work, Walter decided nothing would keep him from getting there. Checking a map, he worked out that, if he started walking that day, he could reach his destination on foot by the morning. That same evening, he started walking. Walter's walk was long and tiring. Walking along the main road in the dead of night by himself was a hairy experience. He encountered stray animals and many scary sounds coming from the woods nearby. As if these things weren't troubling enough, Walter soon heard a car approaching. It was starting to slow down behind him, and a part of him was afraid to look back. Walter kept walking, but was starting to feel nervous. The car got closer. He wanted to turn, but just kept his head down and continued walking. Knowing it was late, and it must have seemed strange that he was walking alone, Walter couldn't help but tense up. Then he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. When blue lights flashed and a siren beeped, he realized it was a cop car behind him. After inquiring why he was walking alone at that time, the officers eyed Walter suspiciously when he told them why. They looked at him like he was crazy. He could almost see the wheels turning in their minds as they were trying to figure out if he was making up a story. When he gave them his bosses and told them they could check with him, the officers told him to get into the car. Walter was afraid to disobey and got into the car. The officers did not explain why they asked him to jump in with them. He was worried now and wondered if he was being arrested. After the tension grew too much to handle, Walter asked. He was told that they were headed to the station. After reaching the station, Walter was introduced to the captain and told to wait. After he explained his story again, he was starting to worry now. Time was passing, and it was already almost morning. If he were held up much longer, he'd never make it in time. Finally, the police captain explained why he was there. After hearing what Walter had tried to do to get to his job, the captain and his colleagues decided to help Walter. They were so impressed with the young man's work ethic they offered to let him hang out till morning. They then promised to give him a ride to the destination the next day so he wouldn't have to walk the rest of the way and could get there well rested. Walter was so happy, he could barely hold back his emotions. The following day, the kind officers kept their promise and gave Walter a lift to his job in a squad car. They had even gone the extra mile and bought him breakfast. As he reached the house and met the owner, Jenny Lamy was overcome after hearing his story. After his colleagues arrived and they completed the job, Jenny was so taken with Walter's dedication that she felt compelled to help him. Jenny Lamy could not stand by knowing a wonderfully hard-working and dedicated young man like Walter had to struggle so much just to get to work. Taking his story public, she started a GoFundMe. Initially trying to raise a minimum of $2,000 for him, his story touched people so much that she was able to raise $44,000 for him. But that wasn't all. Lamy's friend, a business owner named Luke Marklin, offered Walter a new job closer to his home. If that wasn't enough, Walter was asked to a meeting where Marklin and Jenny surprised him with a new car to call his own. Walter was moved to tears by all the generosity and support. He felt he didn't deserve so much, but people who heard his story all agreed he embodied grit, hard work, and dedication, and deserved it all.